Hey there, Knicks fans. We're back with our partners over at FANATICS Sportsbook, and they're making it easy to score big with exclusive Thanksgiving and Black Friday rewards. This Thanksgiving, you'll get 2 same-game parlay 50% profit boost tokens and a 25% anytime touchdown scorer profit boost to use on any of the 3 pro football games this Thursday. Keep the winning streak going on Black Friday with 3 25% same-game parlay profit boost tokens to use across the NBA slate and a 50% college football profit boost. Plus, join Fanatics and enter the Black Friday FANCASH drop for free. It's your weekly chance to win up to $10,000 in FANCASH. Other sportsbooks, they don't hit right. Fanatics Sportsbook, winning just hits different here. Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you here on Thanksgiving Eve, which used to be one of my favorite nights of the year back when I was a much younger man. Alas, now the only thing that I have to concern myself with is making sure that that turkey is drying out in the old fridge. But thankfully, tonight, I was given something to be excited about. That reminded me of my youth because tonight was a party at the expense of the Charlotte Hornets. The Knicks win this one. Final score 129-101. I would characterize the entire second half of this game as an exercise in futility for really both sides. I mean, this game was over at halftime when the Knicks took a 25-point lead on a 13-0 run going into halftime. And I think that's where we have to start. Because that run, and really you could even extend it a little bit further to go with the entire first half, all the good stuff, at least about the first half. And it was pretty much all good. I think you can point in some way, shape, or form back to Josh Hart. So interesting that when did the report come out? I think a report on the starting 5 came out about an hour before game time. It was about 6:10 that we were getting a starting lineup change. And I will be curious, so don't mind me as I check my phone. I'm going to be a bad host. But I am going to be curious. Actually, Mark, on the 1s and 2s, maybe he could keep an eye out for if Mike Brown says anything in this press conference, because I would imagine he will be asked about the starting lineup change because Mitch was back tonight. He was available to go. Now, he was coming off of an illness, so some theories maybe that's why Brown didn't go back to Mitch in the starting 5. I'm not so sure. In any case, we got Josh Hart as a starter once again, like he was the other night in Brooklyn. Again, the difference being Mitchell Robinson being back tonight. Mitchell Robinson had started every other game that he had been a part of. And Deuce McBride also remaining in the starting 5. So before we even get to the game, I was looking at this and I was like, interesting. From a couple of perspectives. You could go with the Knicks wanting to, put the best offensive lineup on the floor that they possibly could. And I don't know that there's much disputing the fact that at least with the personnel they have active right now, OG Anunoby's still on the shelf. That this is the best offensive lineup that they have. And a team like Charlotte, Charlotte, they take such, I'm sure we'll talk about the Hornets at some point tonight. They take such crazy shots. Like, I almost think they're a team that not that they're impervious to good defense, but you kind of have to keep up with them. And I thought, maybe this starting 5 was an effort to do that. Okay. Maybe Josh Hart liked how it felt being back in the starting lineup on Monday night and was like, you know what? I'd like some more of that. And to that end, it was interesting reading Steve Popper wrote a great column for Newsday And shout out, by the way, to I think it was Ben posted a little snapshot from that comment in the chat Knicks.com app where we were talking it up tonight, in which Brown, was quoted at a recent press conference saying it took him a while to figure out kind of how to use Hart, and he has some regrets, maybe not putting Hart back in some games early in the year. Josh Hart talking about how it's been open lines of communication, and just both of them talking as two guys who have gotten to know each other more and more and more, and it seems like things are in a good place now. And I don't know, maybe Brown has kind of warmed up to the idea that pretty much every other coach Josh Hart has ever had has eventually warmed up to, which is that if you have a choice to have Josh Hart on your basketball team, or either on the basketball court, more or less, you're probably going to want to choose more, because he just does things that lead to winning. So I don't know. Are we now going to have a go back to the original starting lineup? Might it be Deuce as the fifth starter once OG gets back? We'll probably have a little bit of time to figure this out. Or you know what? Maybe it's Mike Brown just kind of going matchup basketball. Hornets fast team, fly up and down the court. Mitch the conditioning has not quite been there. And then there is my last theory, which is that Karl-Anthony Towns is coming off of one of his two best offensive games of the year. And Mike Brown wanted to try to continue to foster that strong play. And, and I think there was a lot of conversation last year, somewhat justifiably, about how Josh Hart's presence on the court was impacting Karl-Anthony Towns' ability to be an effective offensive player, or at least as effective of an offensive player as he could be. And I think some of that had to do with Josh Hart not playing up to his standards. Some of that had to do with the starting five just being in a bad place. Some of that absolutely had to do with the coach. I think there was a lot of reasons for it, but in no way, shape, or form did I ever look at those five players and said they cannot succeed on the court together. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care what coverages defenses are throwing at them. And so for Mike Brown tonight to go with this lineup, maybe to get Towns going, whatever the reason is, this is the direction Mike Brown decided to go. And despite the fact that the Hornets got out to an 8-2 lead, I think the results were pretty unanimously positive. I will go ahead and check our friends at Pivot Fade what the starting lineup was tonight in terms of like a plus minus, but it just take a look at the starters. McBride plus 27, Brunson plus 16, Bridges plus 23, Hart plus 20. Cat was the only one who was kind of low, it was plus 6. But like the proof is in the pudding. You saw it. You saw it there in the first quarter. And I think what you saw was a few things. I think for one, and again, we're going to talk about Hart more, but I think you saw Karl-Anthony Towns, and I know Karl did not end up having a great game. He certainly did not have a good shooting game, a couple silly fouls in there. I thought Cat looked really comfortable and confident going into the post. He was patient down there, and you wonder, with all that space that he had to work with, was it just a more comfortable setting for Cat where he could take his time a little bit? Now, again, a lot of that had to do with who he was playing and the fact that the Hornets do not really have that ideal big physical wing to throw on him. Whatever it was, I thought that was working really well. I thought once they kind of, got over themselves a little bit and started playing with a little bit of pace and urgency, I thought the offense as a whole looked really, really good. Mikal Bridges, I mean, my God, Mikal's been great all year, but in this lineup tonight, I thought Mikal had one of his best games of the season, and that's saying something because, again, he's been awesome. But the real star of the show, and we haven't even mentioned Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson just went out there and did Jalen Brunson things tonight, which is funny. He ended up as the Knicks' leading scorer, and he hit a lot of nasty shots. I don't even know if his performance was one of my favorite three of the game because Bridges, Hart, we've kind of already been talking about it. And then Deuce, absolutely outstanding. him in this lineup where he is kind of the fifth man on the totem pole here. I think that's a much more comfortable look for him. And it helps when you take 5 threes and make all 5 of those threes. But Hart, I mean, look, there was a debate going on in our KFS betting and sweating chat. I was trying to pay attention to it, but I was also trying to pay attention to the game too, about, where if this version of Hart, he's a top NBA player, top 30 NBA player, top 40 NBA player, top 50 NBA player. I mean, whatever it is, it's a solid number. And this is the version of the Knicks. What you saw tonight, again, I know who the opponent was. I get it. 129, 101, take it with many grains of salt because it's Charlotte. LaMelo, my God. Anyway, but the style of play that they went out with and their ability to just really play off of each other on the offensive end. And I also want to give a nod to the defense tonight because they had been defending like crap. I thought they defended better in Brooklyn. It helps that it's Brooklyn. And I thought for as well as they were playing for most of the first half, the reason why, if you were watching that game, you felt a little nervous and why the lead never really seemed to get above like 12, 13, 14 points was because they were leaving a little bit to be desired on the defensive end. Jordan Clarkson, hello, hi, nice to meet you. Maybe bring a little bit more. I know he had a nice defensive play in the second half, but still. And then they just turned on the Jets. And then they started turning the defense into offense. And you look at the box score tonight, McBride 2 steals, Bridges 3 steals, 2 blocks. I mean, Bridges is making not a case. He probably would get one of the 10 all defense spots if the season ended today. I know I don't know if the Knicks have the defensive rating, and I don't think the on-offs with Bridges are like anything special. I'll look them up, but I mean, just individually, outstanding stuff. And he's gonna, if he keeps this up, like his steal and block numbers are gonna be pretty undeniable. So anyway, 3 steals, 2 steals, 2 blocks tonight for Bridges, and then 3 steals for Josh Hart. Mitchell Robinson had 3 steals. So they really ratcheted it up on the defensive end, which again, it's interesting because conventional wisdom would say, and we've been talking about this a lot, right? Noah Anunoby, I made the case with Jeremy 5 days ago or 4 days ago, whatever it was. Is OG Anunoby the most important player on the Knicks? Because of how much he ups the ceiling and ups the floor, frankly, on the defensive end. But, at the end of the day, even if OG is not there, even if Mitch is not peak Mitch, and I think he's still not quite there, although I thought it was a better performance from Mitchell Robinson tonight than some of the ones we've seen recently. Even with those 2 caveats, they still have the ability to be a good defense. Maybe not a great defense. I don't think without OG and with Mitch looking like this, I don't think they have the potential to be like a top 10 defense for an entire season if they had to play with this lineup the entire season. But they could be, 14, 15, something like that, which in fairness is not far from where they are, albeit they have slipped down the rankings since they have lost OG, and we know that. But the performance tonight was very good. I thought they stayed in front better. The intensity was just a little bit higher. And yeah, I mean, look, Towns is always he's going to have his moments, and he was in drop on a couple of occasions where it's like you're not taking really anything away in that sort of drop. But like, look, those are kind of selective plays here and there. I was encouraged by what I saw on the defensive end, almost as much as I was encouraged by some of the stuff we saw on the offensive end. And I mean, the focus is on the starting 5 tonight. I mentioned Mitch. Clarkson did look his little offensive flurry that he had there. We had like a couple of buckets in a short period time. I thought that was important. They need him. They need, even when they get fully healthy, they need a scorer off the bench who could just get them some buckets, especially when Jalen Brunson's not in the game. He just needs to be a little bit better on defense. And then let's end here before we move on to super chats and send everybody off to their Thanksgiving Eve slumber, or maybe parties. I hope people are watching this and going out partying. That would make me so happy. As the Heat win again, I'm just looking up and seeing that. Man, that train is rolling. Let's end with Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek moved up into the rotation with the injury to Landry Shamet. And by the way, we should say Landry Shamet, good news today that he is rehabbing, no surgery. That's good. After we got the news, I was like, well, that makes perfect sense, because if he opted to have the surgery, the Knicks would have just waived him. And now at least he's going to try to rehab it, so he'll stay on the team, and he was on a non-guaranteed contract and the whole thing. Ian Begley then sent out a clarifying tweet saying if the Knicks had waived him, if he had had the surgery, he still would have gotten paid. Now, I'm frankly not clear on how that would work in terms of would that still count against the cap. I saw Keith Smith something that he responded, but then I couldn't tell what the answer is to that particular question. Either way, Shamet's going to be out for at least a month. He'll be reevaluated after he rehabs the shoulder. Hopefully it gets better, but his absence now means that Tyler Kolek gets a shot, and they need Tyler Kolek to be good. And Tyler Kolek tonight was good. He was a plus 15 in 15 minutes. He had a nice little scoring flurry late. It was awesome to see that three-pointer go in, even though it was in garbage time. I'm sure it felt good for him to see that too. And I just don't know how else to say it. They just need a real organizer, and even more than an organizer, someone who could really make a play on the, and the thing is, when they don't have Brunson on the court and they don't have that typical advantage creator, everybody steps up in weight class. So now it's whether it's Bridges doing the initiation or Bridges the most talented perimeter player, or even if you try to go to Towns, there's that much more attention on Towns. So anytime you could get, if there's a moment where you could thread a pass into somebody who has slipped, to the hoop or is leaking out in transition, and Tyler Kolek could throw every one of those passes. So he needs to hold up on defense, which he's been doing. He needs to not have the silly turnovers, which he was having for a little while there when he was excised from the rotation earlier in the season. Seems to have done away with those. And then ideally hit a shot every now and then. Now, I know he had to look at the basket that he kicked out to I forget who it was in the corner, and Clyde was like, I want Kolek to take that shot. No, I think that was the right pass out to the corner. It was a great pass. But I also get where Clyde's coming from. So great stuff from him. Last thing, I know I shouted out Mikal Bridges, but I think Benji may tweeted out the video of this, the clip of this. He had maybe my favorite two-way sequence of the entire season, and that ended in an alley-oop dunk. I think it was from Brunson, which was preceded by a block. But my favorite part of that sequence was the thing that started it, which is where, and this is, and I want to end with this before we get to the super chats, because this is the sort of thing that the Knicks have been missing. They were in rotation, and Bridges and the ball kicked to the corner, and Bridges had to hustle to get to the corner to contest the shot. He managed to contest the shot, but he kept his body control. One, he didn't foul, and two, he was able to land and stay with the ball handler as after the fake and drive along the baseline and to get the block. It was I'd feel like it was one of the best non-OG, certainly, defensive plays that we've seen from any Knick this season. And that's again, if they get this version of Mikal Bridges, and Brunson does what he does, and Towns does what he could do, and then OG gets back, and then you get this version of Hart. It's crazy, how many days ago? Was it Saturday? 5 days ago? We're sitting there writing the obituary for this team, and then you see this stuff tonight. I will say one more time for the cheap seats. Yes, it helps that it's Charlotte, but this stuff does all count. And I don't mean it just counts in the standings. I mean it counts in building up this thing under this new coach, new year, integrating some new guys, going a little bit younger here. It helps to build all of the bit by bit so that the next time you play the Magic or whenever you play the Pistons or the Cavs or, one of those West teams, which those should be interesting games. You can't just, it's like a video game. You can't jump to the final boss. You have to go one step at a time. And I think that's why games like this do matter. So, again, my motto this year, take no win for granted and don't, enjoy every win. That's the key. Enjoy every win, even if it is against the craptastic, LaMelo Ball led Charlotte Hornets. Okay. Let's check in on betting and sweating. Even though I'm going to be a little bit at myself for this one. So our picks tonight, shout out, of course, to our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. You could, by the way, we send out a video with these picks, or we send out a tweet with these picks before every game. They're in the app. You could go to the FANATICS Sportsbook app and see these picks in there. So you could tail us, or in the case of tonight, you might want to fade us. Why? Well, Jeff had Mikal Bridges 2 or more made 3-pointers, and for as incredible a game as Bridges had, he did not make a single 3. He only took 1. And we should note the Knicks tonight attempted a season low in threes, and of course they hit 50%. They were 13 of 26 from 3 tonight. They also shot the lights out of the ball inside the arc. I am not going to draw too many conclusions about the fact that they had to put up 129. They only took 26 threes. I'm sure some people will, which is fine. I just thought they were having their way inside, and that's why it made more sense to do that. In any case, so Jeff didn't get that. I took Mitchell Robinson over 6.5 rebounds, and it's funny. I took this several hours before the game. The line moved to 7.5, which I bet in real life, and Mitchell Robinson ends up with 5 rebounds. I think it's the first. Is it the lowest rebound total he's had all year? I think it might be. So, and look, teams are paying, as they said on the broadcast, teams are paying more attention to him, throwing multiple bodies sometimes at him. And then, thank God, our new proud papa Mensa bet the Knicks first quarter spread -3.5. He got that. So we were 1 for 3. All was not lost, even though we did not hit our plus 395 parlay. Last thing I'm going to say in regards to our friends at Fanatics, check in with the post-game show, or come join us, I should say, for the post-game show on Friday. Very special announcement coming then, and it's going to be an exciting thing that we are going to do for the rest of the year, courtesy of our friends at Fanatics, that I think everyone's going to have some fun with. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I can promise you that. Okay, that's enough of a tease. Let us move on to the Super Chats, which I'm looking forward to getting to read because I imagine everybody's going to be pretty happy tonight. Norman Jean King. One thing is very clear. Start Hart. Mitchell Robinson, not a starter. This version of Mitchell Robinson is not a starter. And I can say that pretty confidently. Because I just don't if you're starting Mitchell Robinson, a big reason why you're starting Mitchell Robinson is because he is single-handedly uplifting your defense. His presence there, just by being out there, is making a difference for you defensively. Right now, that is not happening. So for as much as teams are dedicating bodies to him in terms of like the glass and specifically the offensive glass, I don't think that outweighs what you get from starting Hart, especially when Hart is going to be this. I think the more interesting question, and it becomes a really interesting question once OG Anunoby comes back, because there will be a lot of people, and I want to be very clear. I'm not saying these people are wrong, who will say continue to have Deuce in the starting lineup even when OG comes back, bring Hart off the bench. You could do that. But how difficult is it? Will it be for Mike Brown to stagger Hart and Mitch? I've talked about this a lot. I don't think it's like the be-all, end-all if Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson play minutes together, especially if Mitch is going to be like Mitch, which we'll see if he is in a few, days, weeks, months. I don't know. But I don't know. That's an interesting consideration. If I had to bet on it right now, once OG comes back, I got to tell you, there's a part of me that thinks that Josh Hart's going to just continue to be the starter. But we'll see. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe he switches it up. Maybe he goes with different starting lineups. It wouldn't surprise me. Thanks, Norman Gene King. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, my man? Let's start banging the Mikal Defensive Player of the Year drum. He's been worth 10 picks to start the season, and it's getting overshadowed a bit. I want the cup for some reason. Anthony, you know damn well I could give a shit less about the NBA Cup, although it was nice to win on a colorful court, I guess. Mikal Bridges. Here's why I am suspicious that he is going to have, he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but I think all defense is a real possibility. The only reason, why does it always kick me out? Now I have to go all the way back in. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So going into this game, I'm pretty sure this is not updated yet. The Knicks were actually better defensively when Bridges does not play. Now, obviously, I don't think that has to do with Bridges. It's early season. There's a lot of noise in on-off numbers and stuff this early on. But given the fact that the Knicks are right now a middling defense, I know his individual, like the steals and blocks are outstanding. Given that he's gonna OG's gonna be the guy once he comes back that's gonna once again get tasked with the harder defensive assignment every night. I think it's gonna be a little bit of an uphill climb. I think it's possible. I don't know. Is it 50-50 chance he ends up on all defense right now? Maybe not quite that high, but it's got a real shot, which would be really cool for him. Made it once. So thanks, Anthony. Spree. What's going on, Spree? Love the two-way energy from the starting five. Yeah. It's funny. I actually looked it up, and the starting five ended up and it was all because of how the Hornets started the third quarter. They actually ended up getting outscored tonight, which you wouldn't have thought would be possible. But look, they were good. We know they were good, and that's all that matters. The number that stands out for me, or the number that I am most pleased with the starting five, is a 121.4 offensive rating. And if I'm going to zoom in even more, and just looking at offensive ratings tonight, Colm Dottie had a 200 offensive rating tonight. That's funny. Josh Hart in 33 minutes and 45 seconds, 134.8 offensive rating, and 104.5 defensive. So not bad, I would say. Among all of the Knicks starters, him and Bridges, and McBride also, like those three really stood out. Thanks, Spree. IMAK legend. What's going on, IMAK? Great win. Really like what Kolek has done the past few games. Also, great Hart game. Can't complain too much about this game. They won by 28 fucking points. and it was the fifth game of a 5-game road trip. IMAK legend. Come on, man. Let's have some grace here. Anyway, but does Cat have post moves? You're damn right Cat has post moves. Here's the thing. In the first half, I thought Cat was patient. And I thought because he was patient, you saw the patience pay off, and when he has time to allow his touch to work for him, he or is patient enough to like get all the way to the basket without drawing an offensive foul. In those two scenarios, it's a beautiful thing for him when he is trying to get to the rim. The problem is he often runs out of patience. And I think you saw on occasion in the second half, he ran or in the second half, he ran out of patience a little bit. So yeah. I think he has post moves. Does he have post moves like Hakeem Olajuwon has had post moves? No, obviously. But is it his specialty? No, it's not his specialty, but he can do it. And I think it's an important piece of his game. Should it be the predominant piece of his game? No. But but he's a guy with a lot of skills. So I'm cool with it being a part of his game, and that's for sure. Thanks, IMAK. Mr. Janishevsky. I don't know why I butchered your name there. How you doing, Kev? I like the idea of Cat at the 5 with the starters, whatever that is. I'm going to get back to that in a second. If Hart plays like this, he'll earn it, but Deuce is also killing it. Yes, John loves LaMelo. #fun. I really don't want to do a whole rant. There is no player I have ever watched in my life play professional basketball that I am happier I do not have to root for than LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball to me is like if I was born looking like Brad Pitt, and I was 25 and single, and then I stayed home every day eating cheese doodles and watching porn. That's LaMelo Ball. This guy has all the fucking talent in the world, and he lollygags it and diddles it away because he's so concerned with looking a certain way and acting a certain way. And it is utterly infuriating to watch. And I'm not even a fan of his basketball team. But to see that, I mean, a Bronx Tale. There's nothing worse than wasted talent. There is nobody in the league today wasting more talent than LaMelo Ball. I'll never sit here and diminish his talent. And I know they're like, you could look at on-offs and analytics and say that, yeah, he's helping winning basketball. That guy's a cancer to your entire organization. And no team that ever has him will ever win anything significant. And I know there are some people that like watching him play because of this, that, or the other thing. To hell with that. I mean, absolutely an atrocity to watch him do what he does on a basketball court. So, I feel bad for every Hornets fan out there. I hope at some point before long, the Kings trade for him because that's, where he belongs. But holy shit. Brutal. Just brutal. That's my LaMelo rant for the night. Yeah, Cat at the 5. Pretty good. And I think, is that the path forward? Look, we've been debating it since the night that we traded for the guy. So right now we're back in the camp of, yes, that's the way forward. And I'm happy to stay here for a while. Thanks, Kev. Jeff Smith. What's going on, Jeff? Bridges butter layups. Bridges. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They have been butter. Yes. Butter. I know what that means. As the kids say. Yeah, no, he's like, it's silky smooth there around the rim. I love that he seems to not need to land when he catches a ball in the air. He could just like put it up in one motion. He's just out there having fun. He's playing basketball the way God intended it, as opposed to LaMelo Ball. I think he likes this coach. Is it fair to say he's a fan of the coach? Look, him and Tibbs, it was oil and water. And they gave up a lot to get him. And this year, you're seeing why they gave up a lot to get him, because he's playing like a guy who was worth everything they gave up. And I say that without an ounce of hesitation. Without an ounce of hesitation. He's been awesome this year. He's been the most consistent Knick by a comfortable degree. Thanks, Jeff. Hush, dude, what's going on, Hush? Mr. 11, oh, how thankful am I for you. Yeah, I wrote a whole ode to Brunson in today's newsletter. Yeah, he was like, I'm going to bully these guys tonight, and he did. And it was not the most efficient Brunson game. He was 14 for 28, scored 33 points, and there were a couple of un-Brunson like misses. One might even say a couple of un-Brunson like shot attempts. But no, I mean, you know what was nice about that Brunson third quarter is like the Hornets had like a couple of notions here and there about maybe we'll mess around and try to get in this game. And Brunson was like, nah, we're good here. And he put his foot down. He is marching full speed ahead towards yet another All-NBA season for sure. I have a feeling, depending on injuries, actually, but you would. I think the competition for All-NBA first team is already pretty much done. I would think for All-NBA second team, it's going to be tougher competition this year than it was last year, certainly. But again, injuries always play a role in this stuff, so maybe that won't be the case. But Brunson, he's playing like a top 10 player in the league. Not much more you could ask for. Thanks, Hush. Drew P, what's going on, Drew? No problem with Josh starting with OG out, but people really need to see the actual starting unit's numbers. It is by far our best unit. So, I mean, I will... Here, I'll go ahead. I'm on cleaning the glass already. So this is this year so far. The starting lineup. So here's the problem. No starting lineup has played much because you had the starting unit with Shamet. They're the only lineup, according to Cleaning the Glass, that has played at least 100 possessions together. But going into tonight, I don't have updated stats for tonight. 113 non-garbage time possessions. They were dead even. Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns. So the old starting lineup. In 85 possessions, they were plus 21.2 points per 100 with a dynamite offense and a dynamite defense. And then the starting five, I think, Drew P, that you're referencing, Brunson, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, and Robinson, in 64 possessions is plus 52.9. with a totally sustainable 139.1 offensive rating and an 86.2 defensive rating. Look, 85 possessions, 64 possessions, even 113 possessions. These are, you cannot draw conclusions off of these numbers. You just can't. Like the starting unit with Brunson and Bridges, Bridges, Anunoby, Towns, and Robinson, they have an effective field goal percentage of 60. That's insane. They also were grabbing offensive rebounds almost half the time, 45.5%. Like I know Mitchell Robinson does what Mitchell Robinson does. Now you want to tell me because it's Mitch and Cat out there and OG is your three and OG is massive that offensive rebound rate in like, I don't know, the mid to high 30s is sustainable. I might hear that. Look, I don't think it's crazy. If Mitch is Mitch, fully Mitch, then yeah, the original starting lineup absolutely has an argument. It just does not. It does not seem like that player is there right now. When that player comes back, we could have a conversation. Mikal got defensive player of the game, by the way. Awesome stuff. Justin Richards, what's going on, Justin? This team will go as far as they can with Cat at center. Happy Thanksgiving, John. Justin, I'd be foolish to sit here and try to argue with that. I have waffled on this the night they traded for him. or the night after, because I think they may have traded for him on a Friday night. I did that Twitter Spaces with Benji, and the topic was obviously the first topic that came up. Well, that and the defense with him and Brunson. And I was like, if you trade for Cat, your plan is to play him predominantly at the 5. What does predominantly mean? Cat averages 34 minutes. Does that mean you're playing him 18 minutes at the 5? Does that mean you're playing him 20 minutes at the 5? Does that mean you're playing him 28 minutes at the 5? And I think those are the interesting conversations. Whatever it is, anywhere in that range, and I think it's above 20, but less than 30, on a good, healthy team. Like, it's a massive part. We know it's going to be a massive part of the game plan, because if this Knicks team wins anything, it's going to be predominantly because of their offense. I'm sorry, but it is. And if they're going to win predominantly on the back of their offense, then what is the thing that they can go to on offense that sets them apart? It is this guy stretching the floor, spacing the floor at the 5, with the Jalen Brunson on the court at the same time, with those guys playing off of each other, with ideal skill / spacing around them. And then it turns the conversation to the 5th guy. And do you need the best floor spacer in the traditional sense to make that offense hum? Or can Josh Hart bring a different sort of gravity? Because there are more types of gravity than just spacing the floor with a 3-point shot that is going to instill fear into the hearts of defenders. And by the way, Josh Hart, the way he's shooting, if he keeps shooting like this till the playoffs, and I'm not saying he will, but if he does, he'll instill a healthy enough amount of fear, especially given everything else he does. Look, these are great conversations to have. This is the stuff that makes me love. I mean, other than like watching the guys do what they do, these are the conversations that make me love the NBA and just the theoretical part of it and thinking through it, because I do think that there are arguments to both sides, but I think my gut has always sided, I think, with where you're coming from, Justin. So for whatever that's worth. Thank you, man. Marcel, my mom. I was today years old when I learned that my mom's YouTube handle was Marcia Carousel 8494. Now, why would she pick 8494? 84. I don't know, unless it's 8494, August 4th. 19, no, that doesn't have any relevance. I have no idea. I'm going to have to ask her about it. Maybe she could text me. Mom, if you're watching, I guess you're watching, right? Text, why 8494? And she's probably going to be like, I don't know why those are the numbers that come after my name. Can you get rid of them, please? Thankful for the win. Wish the KFS family a very happy Thanksgiving. Well, I will when I talk to them. Mark's here, so you already wished him a happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure somebody else is watching. I would wish you a happy Thanksgiving, but I'm going to call you in like 9 hours or whatever, 10 hours. So I'll just wish you a happy Thanksgiving then. But thank you for the very generous super chat. And I love you. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. How do you follow that up? I have no idea. We got a couple from Hush. Hush Zoo. When OG gets back, I wouldn't mind trying the old starting 5 for a stretch of games. Okay, we got another proponent of the old starting 5 in this new system. Oh, I think you mean the old starting 5, from last year. Yeah, in this new system, also assuming Josh's 3-point shot holds up. Yes, the system has a lot to do with it, and yes, Josh being confident and playing this way has the most to do with it. It should work. Even if Josh Hart is in a little bit of a slump, if he's going out there and playing this way and playing confidently, that unit should work, And look, is there a conversation to be had about, can Josh play up to his level and with confidence when his 3-point shot is not falling, when he knows he's in a bit of a slump? I don't know. That's a great question. And I wonder what Josh Hart would say if asked that. I'm going to have to try to get that question asked, because I think it's an interesting question. And Josh Hart's pretty introspective guy. He's pretty honest. But I really wonder what Josh Hart would say if he was asked, like, can you be your best self if you're in a shooting slump? Like, can everything else, where everything else, other part of your game is concerned, you know? And I understand it's a complicated question because if he's in a slump, teams are going to guard him differently, and that inevitably impacts that. But I would still be curious what he would say about that. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep. Hush has another one here, and yes, after that stat of the game, Mark. On paper, I thought the Hornets would be a scrappy, young, fun team that would be hovering around 500. And sheesh, does LaMelo look checked out? Let's go Knicks. I don't think he's checked out. This is just who he is. When has he been checked in? You know, like I know they made a couple play-in tournaments, but this nonsense, this silliness, it's like it's always been there. It was there. You know, there was a reason there was skepticism about him freaking before he was drafted. So yeah, I wouldn't be holding my breath on LaMelo. They do. I mean, I think they have some awesome young pieces. Knipples clearly, he looks like he has a star. I know he didn't do anything tonight. I'm a big fan of Brandon Miller. The Kalkbrenner kid, like you heard Tyler say, he only missed how many shots all year. You know, that three, the Knipple, Kalkbrenner, and Miller, I would build that up if I could, you know, if I was the Hornets, but we'll see what they want to do. Okay, we are going to do our stat of the game, presented by one of our esteemed KFS interns, Jonah Kaufman. Shout out to Jonah. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. I owe you an email. We haven't checked it in a bit. I'll shoot you an email. 107%. That looks like a fake number. That looks like a misprint. And yet it is not. And do you know why? It is the true shooting percentage of one Deuce McBride tonight. To put that into context, Deuce shot only 1 of 3 from 2 tonight, but he was a perfect 5 from 5 from 3 and 2 for 2 from the line. This was good for a true shooting percentage of 107, the best number by any Knick scoring more than 5 points in a game this season. Holy crap. This was also the best shooting night of Deuce's career in games with at least 5 made field goals. That's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I'm going to have a tough time with stars. Am I really going to leave Jalen Brunson off of stars of the game? I think I may have to. Because I'm giving something to Mikal. I'm definitely giving something to Josh. And Deuce, I mean, 107, my Lord. That's a lot. Better than LaMelo's tonight. I'm going to write that down. Okay. Here we go. Home stretch here. Happy Thanksgiving to you, J-Mac, and the entire KFS family. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate you and appreciate your generosity now over the years. Always means a lot that you help support the show in the way you do, which allows us to do what we do. Missed this game, but it looks like New York wanted to send a message. Was this a message sending game? I actually don't know because they were kind of sluggish out of the gate. They eased into this one again. They were down 8-2. At one point, they definitely wanted to send a message, and you know who it seemed like wanted to send a message? It seemed like Jalen Brunson wanted to send a message to a variety of Charlotte defenders to say, like, you cannot guard me, and if you're going to guard me one-on-one, I'm going to make you have an unpleasant evening. I love the onslaught, but what I would like to see this versus Detroit, Toronto, or Orlando. Need this version of Hart in May. JB is just special. Yeah, I mean, look. I feel bad. RJ is going to miss the game on Sunday. Oh, I just saw my mom texted me, by the way. I did not pick those numbers. There we go. I'm not surprised, Mom. Yeah, RJ's going to miss the game on Sunday. That stinks. And they're not, I mean, they're going to have Orlando the last game before the Emirates NBA Cup, whatever the hell they call this. So that'll be a big moment. And then look, if the Knicks beat the Bucks on Friday and Giannis missed tonight, they lost to the Heat. I would assume Giannis will play on Friday, but we'll see. I don't know. He better get back soon. Otherwise, that team's might fall too far out of the play-in race in the East, which is a frightening thought. But, assuming that if the Knicks get into this NBA Cup thing, they're going to face someone good, whether it's Orlando again. That'd be funny if they faced Orlando twice in a row, once before the Cup and then once in the Cup. It might be Detroit. It might be, trying to think, maybe Toronto. I don't know. So we'll see. And then after that, they go to Minnesota, but I know Minnesota has defended tonight. It's a great game right now in Oklahoma City. But it's like a while before and you know what? If you want to fast forward and circle it on your calendar, Monday, January 5th at Detroit. I'm pretty sure that game is going to feel pretty big. Yeah. Thanks, Greg. Oscar Long, what's going on, Oscar? Just keep building. I'll be there in April. Let's go Knicks. That's all that it is, man. It really. Like, it sounds simple. It sounds kind of like a thing you say after you beat a Charlotte on Thanksgiving Eve. They're 10-6, They're 10-6, and I know, and I want to give a shout out to Benji Ritholtz too, because, and I feel bad. I wanted to read his grade book. Shout out to all of our Knicks Film School patrons, especially everybody in the Brunson tier who gets to enjoy DJ's film work and Benji's grade books, which are just both exceptional always. But Benji texted earlier today as he was doing, or maybe it was yesterday, as he was doing his rewatch of the Magic game, and he's like, I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. And I trust Benji when he says that, and that was encouraging. And it probably wasn't as bad. It was just that fourth quarter was just so unpleasant to the taste in the moment. So, look, 10-6 as of right now, 5th best net rating in the league. Believe it or not, the Knicks now have a better net rating than the Pistons. Even though, excuse me, I said 10-6. They're 11-6. Sorry. I shorted them a win. Sorry, 11-6. You know what? A win against the Nets. Maybe that shouldn't count. I'm kidding. Yeah, so 11-6 plus 6.6 net rating. You're right behind the Raptors. The freaking Raptors have the 4th best net rating in basketball. How about that? Plus 6.8. And then you got the big three out west. Look, the big three out west, they're going to do what they're going to do all season long. Knicks just have to focus on themselves, win the games on your schedule, try to sort some things out against the heavier hitters. And then, like you said, Oscar, we'll see you in April. Stevens Guillaume, what's going on, Stevens? A win before Thanksgiving. Josh Hart, the soul of our team, showed out. Wishing everyone at Knicks Film School and your families a wonderful and relaxing holiday. Stevens, thank you. Also, another one of our longtime supporters of the show. Very generous, always generous on your part to even just participate in the post game, let alone everything else you do to really support the cause here. Go and check out that Steve Popper piece if you can. With the quotes from Hart, and I think but the quotes from Brown in particular. And I'll you know what? Can I pull up a? Oh no, I don't think I should have had it ready. It's gonna take too long to find it because I have to log in and the whole thing. But you know who appreciates appreciates Josh Hart, and who I think agrees with you that Josh Hart might be the soul of the team, I think, is Mike Brown. It was never a Thibodeau thing. It was just, if you're an NBA coach, you're probably going to value Josh Hart. And but it needs to be, look, it's not going to be this version of Josh Hart every night, but it needs to be some facsimile of this version of Josh Hart. And I don't think that that's too much to ask for. I really don't. I think something happened to him last year, and the team in general, I think something happened to the team last year. And just there was something in the water from, the middle of the year on, or maybe the third of the year on. But I remember the Josh Hart from the year before, and I'm not saying he wouldn't have bad games. He would. But he was Mr. Reliable. And, and now he's playing like this. So let's keep it up. Thanks, Stevens. All right, final five, and then I am going to go put on a suit jacket. You catch me on SNY at 11 o'clock if anybody is so inclined. Paul McFarline, what's going on, Paul? Not sure we could count these last two games as road victories. Again, here's the moment of the night. We should have this sponsored, where the moment where John realizes he meant to say a thing in the monologue and forgot. This is the thing. Anyway, let me finish reading the super chat. Can't count these last two games as road victories, with the fans giving Brunson MVP chance, and I mean this in a good way. Also, I love Josh Hart. I don't know if that says more about Jalen Brunson or it says more about Knicks fans. And with all due respect to Jalen Brunson, who is now my favorite Knick ever, I'm all the way there. I think this says more about Knicks fans and New Yorkers. The fact that New Yorkers, when they move out of New York, they retain everything that made them New Yorkers, obviously including their fandom. Charlotte's a lovely place, DJ Zulo lives in that neck of the woods, that part of the country, and he attests to how lovely it is down there. Yeah, but we're everywhere, man. I mean, it's a really cool thing, and what's really cool about it is, like, the Knicks are now good enough where if you're a Knicks fan living somewhere else and you get to go see them, you're probably going to see the team put on a show, and it's a beautiful place to be. I think the overwhelming sentiment for me, at least, from the Knicks Twitter show that I did yesterday with Rebecca, was how many people, when I asked people to respond with, like, what are they thankful for and all that sort of stuff, so many people wrote some version of, we're thankful for just to have a competent, good team again. And I'm certainly feeling thankful for that tonight, and I have been for a while now, and I know it could be tough because once expectations go up, changes everything, but it's good to be a Knicks fan right now. Thanks, Paul. Oh, Jason, I think we're going to owe you $5. I'll Venmo you. Jason, Hornets are a good offensive team, terrible defensively. To hold them to 101 points is impressive. When Hart shoots, he's elite. Changes everything. This is one game where I actually would be curious to see the shot quality data on this one. I agree. To be very clear, Jason, I agree with you. I think their defense was good tonight, the Knicks defense. For whatever it's worth, their defensive rating after tonight's win. Hey, look at that. We're back up to in the top half of the league. We are 15th, just above the Lakers. All right. You know what? With all the hemming and hawing about the defense so far this year, I think after to be the 15th best defense and the third best offense, we're back to third best offense. I think we were closer with OKC. And OKC's offensive ratings are going to go down tonight, so we got a little breathing room. But yeah, third best offense, 15th best defense. Look, that dog will hunt. And then as far as the Hornets go, let me see this real quick. Hornets this year, they scored. I don't know. Maybe not with Ball. With Ball, maybe this is their lowest point total of the year. Yeah, this is their second lowest point total of the year. They scored the 96 points against. They scored 96 points against Oklahoma City. So this is the second lowest, and the only one team who has held them to less points is the defending world champions, who have the greatest defense known to man. So yeah, good stuff, Jason. Find your New York captain. I love that. That's great stuff. KD, cat for AD trade. If AD is healthy, it's a win. I joked about this on shameless plug for my new podcast, NBA Takedown. I joked about this on today's episode, actually, the mailbag episode I dropped today. When you cannot refer to an NBA player without attaching the words "if he's healthy," you have slid down the slippery slope. At that point, we cannot, you cannot make that move on a hope and a prayer. And that's what it would be. It would be on a hope and a prayer. I actually think the conversation, and look, God knows I've been as critical of Cat as anyone. I actually think even if there were some magical, mystical universe where you could guarantee that Anthony Davis was going to be healthy and play 70 games a year and be healthy for the playoffs, if that world existed, I actually think it would be an interesting conversation, him versus Cat. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's definitive one way or another. I think it would be an interesting conversation. I really do, because of the way he stretches the floor and his offensive impact, even if he is struggling. Which I have never disputed, to be clear. It's really just about the stuff he takes off the table when he is not going right. And Anthony Davis has always done the same shit. Anthony Davis has moments where he's not going right and he takes stuff off the table. The difference is when he's not, like, if he is disappearing from games on offense, his mere presence out there does not have anywhere near the same effect as Cat's. Defensively, you're always going to get it with AD if he's out there. With Cat, it's the other way around. Even if he's having a bad game on offense, his presence helps. It's the other end of the floor where he could torpedo a game plan. So, again, I think it's an interesting game plan. I think it's an interesting game plan given the specific roster that this team has, conversation, excuse me. But it's not a conversation we need to have because AD's not healthy, and it's too much of a risk. And I just don't think it's a conversation. I just don't think it's a conversation. I really don't. And I don't think the Knicks think it's a conversation, for whatever it's worth. All right. A couple more and then we're getting out of here. Alex. I can't wait to hear what Alex has to say. No, that's cranberry sauce. Happy Thanksgiving, John. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Alex. I hope you're doing great. I hope you get to spend this Thanksgiving with your family. And yeah, it's great to have you and all of our KFS community members. But I did the canned cranberry sauce. No fresh. I like the canned stuff, as I've mentioned, to be clear, as me and Mark spoke about the other night. All right, Kevin Danishevsky with another one. Again, really hoping Kolek sticks. It reminds me of Deuce a few years ago. Yeah, different sort of players, obviously, but sure, that's a great comp, actually, in terms of, like, Deuce would show these little signs here and there where you're like, oh, okay, that could be a thing. If he shoots, he's a surefire player. LaMelo to the Wolves. For what? What salary are you giving? So you're going to give, I know the Wolves just lost, and I know the Wolves are like 500 right now. Or a little above 500. They're 10. I think they're 10-8. So they're not giving up Jaden McDaniels, nor should they. They can't give up Rudy Gobert because he's their whole defense. I mean, it's gonna maybe sound nuts. I wouldn't think about giving up Julius Randle for LaMelo Ball. And more than that, if you have Anthony Edwards on your team, you want the ball in Anthony Edwards' hands. And they were everybody should drink, although I think I have a little bit more left. On a Zach Lowe pod this week, they were talking about how Anthony Edwards is not essentially the point guard now. He is the point guard of the team. And that is like a worthy years-long experiment, like the freaking Celtics won the championship by essentially turning the ball over to Jason Tatum and saying, here, like, we're going to put the ball in your hands more often than not. And they won a title that way. And I think the Wolves, with the right pieces around Edwards, could do the same. Now, they don't have the personnel quite the same that the Celtics do, but like, this is the problem, and this is why I wouldn't want LaMelo Ball anywhere near my basketball team. If you have LaMelo Ball on your team, the ball's going to be in his hands a lot. And don't tell me LaMelo Ball is going to morph into some willing off-ball player, secondary create. No, give me a fucking break. No, that guy's not going to do that. He wants no part of that. He'll go play overseas before he does that. No. So I wouldn't I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole if I was Minnesota or any team that had any interest in winning anything. Other than tiddlywinks. Okay. Last one here. Oh, Bill. Bill, Bill Peter friend. I what do I say to this? Thank you, Bill. Incredible generosity from you, man. Congrats on realizing your dream. Happy Thanksgiving, KFS and families and all Knicks fans. Let's be thankful we have a good team. All right. Well, I got to address this. So I wrote a little something in the newsletter today. Yeah, today. Just thanking all of my Knicks Film School newsletter subscribers, for helping me get to the point where I could now do this work full time, which has been a life-changing experience. And I am still a little bit stunned every day that I get to do this. Now is my job, my only job. I don't have another job. And I will say the same thing to everybody, watching here or listening. And I don't say this just for me. I could say this on behalf of, Andrew Claudio and Benji and DJ and Jeremy and Mark and Kevin and Mensa and, and Sean and Jeff. And now if I forget someone, it's going to look really bad. And Chris and, it's like the whole crew and Rebecca, our newest addition, the whole crew, it's the fact that we get to do what we get to do, whether it's our full-time job or it's something that we're able to give a couple of hours to, here or there. Like, there's a lot of people that are passionate about a lot of things in the world, and they wish that they, had an outlet for that passion. And the fact that we have the outlet that we do, I mean, we're collectively, like, we already feel incredibly lucky that we kind of have this community, and then this just adds to it. So, Bill, and again, that none of this exists. None of this exists without the generosity of like people like you and everybody out there who makes this all possible. And I swear I mean this when I say it. It like as I've gotten older and have had less and less faith in humanity, it's stuff like this that makes me think like, hey, you know what? There are good people out there in the world. People who care about supporting the dreams of others because they feel like, hey, this is a worthwhile community. And I just hope we keep it going. That's really all I have to say. We got one more that just came in from my girl, Jessica. Hello, Jessica. How are you? It's great to hear from you. Happy Thanksgiving to all the Macris, all the Claudio family, and all the KFS family. You said you don't go right to the final boss, but boom, Game Genie. I never had a Game Genie growing up. I always wanted one. I never had one. It was like you put the cartridge in the Game Genie, right? I think that's how it went. Anyway, I see Andrew's here. I think Andrew wants to pop up, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
Am I on?
I hear you.
Oh, Mark, switch the layout. I have StreamYard in a different thing. Thank you, Jessica, for your generosity. What's a Game Genie?
No, I know you didn't just say that.
What's a Game Genie?
You being serious right now?
Yeah, deadass.
A Game Genie it was like a cartridge. I mean, I remember it from
NES. Is this an old person thing?
It was a cartridge that you put like your NES cartridge in, or your Super Nintendo cartridge in, or your Sega cartridge in, and it was like it gave you like every cheat code in the game.
Cartridge? I'm joking. I had an NES. I'm good. You're good. This became very fun to fuck with you. That's all.
So wait, you did know what a Game Genie was?
I didn't know what a Game Genie was, but I think it's my first game system was a PS1, and I think you had like a cleaner for the discs sometimes. And it sounds like a Game Genie was a thing to clean the cartridge.
Hold on. Can we have 2 seconds here?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how.
Mark, shake your head yes or no. Do you know what a Game Genie is? Yes, he's shaking his head yes. I'm old.
Of course he
does. Do you want to come on and tell me how old
he just did it for me. I literally was just doing the same thing. So bravo, you put your cartridge in there, and then like
there's a Game Genie on screen for people listening.
Yeah, sorry. We're an audio medium too. I forget that sometimes.
That's okay. I remember.
And like, I don't know what I never had one. I don't know how exactly you would go about unlocking all the features of the game, but like every game always had cheat codes, and this gave you all the cheat codes.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we don't go right to the final boss, but boom, Game Genie.
Boom, Game Genie.
Boom goes the Game Genie. Not the dynamite, the Game Genie.
I don't know. I'm trying to think if I ever like beat a video game.
Really?
I don't think I ever beat the original. I don't think I ever beat Bowser on the original Mario. I mean, like I beat like Super Mario World, like for what was that, 64? But I never got like all of the, what was it, coins or stars or whatever the bullshit you had to get all of the things. I don't think it was like 100. I don't think I ever got 100.
Does Game Boy count?
Sure.
Then I got several different colored versions of Pokemon. Pokemon Red, Yellow, Blue, Gold,
never played
Silver.
a Pokemon game. I mean, I used to be oh my god, Jigglypuff on.
That's the name.
Or was it No, it wasn't Jigglypuff.
Clefairy?
No, it was Kirby.
Kirby's not a Pokemon.
Oh, so I was Kirby on Super Smash Brothers. So then, no,
Yeah.
I've never played any kind of Pokemon. No, I think I may have beaten Earthbound. I think that was for Nintendo, if not Super Nintendo.
Got it.
And I think that might have been it.
The only that type of like journey destination game I've ever played for a game system is Crash Bandicoot. I don't know if you know.
I'm very familiar with. I had Crash Bandicoot.
I had that every version of it for the first like 4. I think Crash Bandicoot 4 was the last one that I played before I decided to play sports. So
can I give a quick shout before we get out of here? I know
sure.
I have to log in 10 minutes.
You have 10 minutes, literally. Like,
I have 10 minutes. I used to have a system. It was the second system I ever got after Nintendo. It was called TurboGrafx 16. Have you ever heard of TurboGrafx 16?
I have not. No.
Okay. So TurboGrafx 16, you didn't have a cartridge. You had, it was, I can't even describe it. It was like a little disc, but it was not like a circular disc. It was like the shape of like a basketball card, but thick. And you would insert it into anyway. That was TurboGrafx 16. And they had this game called Bonk's Adventure, BONK''S. And Bonk was a caveman with a giant bald head. And his head was his weapon. And you used to be able to play in this game. You used to be able to spin in the air as Bonk. And every time you like spun into a bad guy, the bad guy would pop up in the air. And then if you kept spinning into him, you would keep going in the air and the bad guy would keep going in the air. And you could literally sit there for hours on like the same board, just like accumulating points and lives and all this bullshit. And that was probably the game that I was best at in my life.
The last 10 minutes, you could tell the Knicks played the Hornets tonight.
There's someone out there watching that had TurboGrafx 16 and played Bonk. I guarantee you.
Or listening.
Shout out to Bonk. Anyone out there, man? I wish I had still have my TurboGrafx. Dirty Dancer says he loved it. Yeah, it was a great game. It was so much fun.
Dirty Dancer also says he won so many rings on 2K with the Knicks to make up for decades of pain. That's really where my sports and my video game expertise goes to. MVP to the show, or MLB the Show, MVP Baseball 2005. Like I had like a dynasty mode or franchise mode. I'd create an Andrew Claudio that would hit 600 home runs in his career. I was Ohtani before Ohtani.
I had the NBA game. I don't think it was. I think it had to be SNES. I honestly don't remember, but it was 90. It was like 94, 93, 94, 95, around there. And I used to play as the Knicks, and I'm sure I put it on the easiest mode. And I used to only score with 3 players: John Starks, Patrick Ewing, and Herb Williams. And I used to try to get like 50 points with Herb Williams every game.
So you set the level to difficult, is what you're saying. Sounds like NBA Jam. Didn't Tyler reference a video game? Oh, he referenced NBA Street, which
I didn't know.
Yeah,
that was
did, but did play that. And because the object of the game wasn't to score points, it was to like accumulate points. I got very bored very quick.
I don't know about any of that. But like if you had Game Genie and you had NBA Jam, you would have been able to unlock all of like the secret characters and all that bullshit.
See, this is I usually get mad at you when you refer to how far apart we are in age as if I'm super young. This does show the age gap in like this specific thing. NBA Jam is an arcade game for me. It's not a home video game. Like I only ever played it at the arcade because it was such an old game that only old games went to the arcade.
I don't know that I ever played it at home. They had a home version of it.
Yeah, of course. I just never. The first sports game I had was Madden '98, and then the first I played.
That was fun.
Madden, FIFA, NBA Live, and MLB MVP Baseball were my go-to sports games. And then I went to college and then found out that other people played it too, and that they played it better than me. Ironically, this is all coming days after my sister-in-law bought a PS5 and apparently got my mother-in-law to start playing FIFA. So tomorrow may end up being a FIFA tournament at the Claudio household.
That's awesome.
Mark's giving me the face of like, yeah, I cannot wait to get kicked out of my mother-in-law's house because I beat her 6-0 in FIFA.
Good luck with that. Number one. Number two, I had really quickly shout out my two favorite games I ever played. Number one, and I had to look up the name of this one. Number one, in no particular order, was Final Fantasy VII, which is like millions of people out there. That's their favorite game ever. And number two is a game for NES called Dragon Warrior. And it was an RPG. And when I'm looking at pictures, like, hold on, I got to get a picture of the graphics up here. Because let me tell you, when I tell you this was high level stuff, I mean, this was really, truly. Here we go.
Let me see this.
Here we go.
High level stuff. Oh man, it's Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, you were this little guy, and
this looks like a Game Boy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is for Nintendo, and you went around the world, and then you would enter these little towns, and have to like accomplish a mission or fight like a battle or whatever. And I remember one time you would like save the game on the cartridge and then continue the next time you play it. And one time I got like a disease, and it was like, if you shut the game off now, it won't be saved. And I was there for hours trying to figure out the cure for the disease, whatever it is.
The chat is lively with multiple references to their game system, by the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Regular Joe 74. Oh, I hate that the screen names are there instead of the real names.
Yeah.
I had a Turbo Graphics 16. I still have it. I also played Bunks. There you go.
That's great.
Navy Blue. Started off with consoles, but eventually became a PC guy. That's where you introduced my mom to the conversation. The hours she played Lara Croft's Tomb Raider.
Oh, yeah. I think I had it. Was there a game called Myst for PC?
Yes, Myst was a game for the
Myst.
PC. Yeah, Wolfenstein. Yeah.
I never played that, but I'm familiar with it.
Then you get the Resident Evils, and
I gotta go. But last question: did you ever in school? This is gonna tell you. This is the age difference.
Okay.
Did you ever play? Oh my! What was it? I don't even know if "play" is the right word. Did you ever experience the Oregon Trail?
Yes.
Okay. See.
Dude, the amount of bison I killed because I never like actually rode the raft across the river, and I was just like, we got it. And then he was like, you all drowned, your wife and kids and bison. And it's like, oh yeah, that happened. Very, very, very much Leroy Jenkins when I had to go across the river.
Don't tell that to Rosita. She's gonna divorce you.
Well, don't worry. I'm gonna, if we ever have to cross a river, go on a boat. But on the Oregon Trail, I decided to go.
God.
You know.
Well, this was a perfect end to this post game.
There you go.
Mark says I died of dysentery all the time.
Yeah, the dysentery. And I never I was always, maybe this translated to real life too. I was always hunting for food. I was never trading for medicine. And then people would get sick and it's like, oh, well, I need to go get more food.
Well, thank you for joining for this end of this post game.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving
to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Andrew. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Mark. And last thing I want to say, a shout out to my mom, who I'm incredibly thankful for, not only because she bought me all these video game systems when I was growing up every Christmas, or Santa did, but but she's just her support of this everything I do, and it's just wanted to take a second to say thank you to her.
Shout out my Facebook friend Marcia. Yes, I co-signed this. Shout out Marcia and John, not you, the other John.
John Amore, yes.
Yes. Okay. And their nice house.
Right.
I like that house.
Let's get out of here. Yeah, you'll be back next summer. All right. Thanks everybody for watching another episode of the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. Do everything you can to support the show by following us, subscribing, rating, reviewing, social media at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. Download the chatnix.com where we're having the ticket. We're giving away 2 tickets to the Raptors game. Sunday, Raptors game. We're giving away those tickets on Friday. All you have to do, chatnix.com, download the app, participate in some conversation, and you'll be eligible to win those tickets. I think that's it. Patreon, Substack. Did I forget anything?
No. Happy Thanksgiving. Go on SNY.
Yeah, go watch me on SNY in like 10 minutes. All right. See everybody later. Peace out.
Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See the Fanatics Sportsbook app.